viewers, it is our honor to introduce Professor Amelyn L. Laro, a renowned advocate for gender and women's rights, with a distinguished career spanning multiple fellowships, including the Feminist Age Fellowship and the Community Solution Fellowship. Professor Laro is a leading expert on women's and girls' rights, refugee and IDP issues, and gender equality. As a respected authority in her field, Professor Laro has established the social work program at the Southern Philippines Agribusiness, Marine and Aquatic School of Technology and share her expertise as a frequent guest speaker. Please join us in welcoming Professor Amelyn L. Welcome you, ma'am, in Empowered Voices. What sparkled your passion for advocating for women's and girls' rights? And how has your personal journey shaped your approach to this work?
The first reason I think I get interested with women's and gender issues or in this particular advocacy, it's because I started working as a social worker with abused women and children. That's actually my first job. I was assigned in city mayor's office quick response team for children's concern, and I am assigned to handle cases of abused women, abused children, and I have seen so much needs of this sector, and also a lot of things that we have to study and learn, like how we handle cases of violence against women, how to deal with them, and so then I got interested in understanding women's issues. But in my formal fellowship program, it started in 2016, where I was selected as a community solutions fellow in the United States under the U.S. State Department program. I was assigned in Minnesota, USA. I work with an organization called Women's Initiative for Self-Empowerment. It is a 20 years organization working with women refugees and immigrants in Minnesota. And so after that work, I have started a project in the Philippines, Advocacy and Women's Education and Empowerment, with young women and young social workers, and we train them for advocacy work, leadership, and some other relevant issues to women. And then later on, my interest, it gets more, how can I say, more deeper, not just looking into these issues on leadership or decision making or some other issues. So I continue with my fellowship program. So I've studied gender studies in Korea, in fellowship in Korean Institute for Gender Equality. Then later on in Hamburg, Germany, connecting gender rights, women's issues with the sustainable goal number 5. It's more on the sustainable goals. And then later on, I have a project, Teach for Gender Equality, promoting gender responsive curriculum in the basic education sector in the Philippines. Then I continue with my feminist lens, feminist leadership. So I think now my interest, if you ask me right now, it's moving towards implementing gender to policies, governance, and implementing gender as well in urban planning, which is quite interesting aside from training. So that's actually how it goes through process. So that's it.
Professor, what do you believe are the most pressing issues facing women and girls today? And how do you think we can collectively work towards addressing them?
Okay, so I'm trying to reflect on what global issues are really affecting women, because there are so many issues affecting women across the globe. But one thing is for sure, the challenge for integration of gender and women's rights is still reality that the world needs to face. Even a lot of countries are still facing a lot of these problems with integrating women's rights issues, and understanding that women's rights problem are increasing, and discrimination are still there despite of the international policies, despite of the local policies, despite of the UN agreement or the different what do you call this collaborations of government and even non-government organizations. So it is true that there's still we call backsliding of women's rights across the world. It is one of the problems that we need to face, knowing that we have also now problems with strong male leadership, which some of these leaders, male leaders, do not recognize also that women have rights in their own countries. So this will affect this issue. Another one is the gender gaps in education. Based on my studies in Hamburg, Germany in 2022 to 2023, I did reviews of integration of gender responsive curriculum in several parts of the world, and I've learned that it is only in Sweden that it's implemented. In Europe, in some places in Africa, it is clear that there are so many gender blind curriculum. And it means to say there's no existing integration of gender into the curriculum, and as well in some parts of Asia as well. And even we have to recognize that there's a lot of gap, with that, as well as opportunities for women in areas of education. And although we have female teachers or other gender teachers, but they are not given much leadership role in education, especially in higher education. So there is a clear gender gaps in education that we have to address in curriculum and policies or in some other aspect. And the third one, I think, is the underrepresentation of women in leadership roles. And knowing that it's not, the UN says that it should be a 50-50 representation in the international and local. And I think not many women are into leadership roles, except maybe in the Philippines, in the sector of private sector. There's studies which says that we have more female managers in the private sectors, but we have few women in governance and in national and in local as well and in the national level. So these are our current challenges as globally. So I think we share this with other countries, and so that's the reason also we keep on talking about feminist leadership or women's leadership and gender responsive curriculum, and as well as gender equality across some parts of the world.
As you told that we can better support and empower women and girls in marginalized or vulnerable communities.
So my current advocacy is strengthening gender responsive education. I started first in my own country. I have a research on this. This is published in a journal. You can find this in ResearchGate. You can look into gender responsive education curriculum, and you can type my name or Teach for Gender Equality. I'm trying to advocate for the integration of gender in the curriculum, especially in the basic education sectors, because these are essential training for inclusivity. Like when you are a child and you tend to understand that all human beings, regardless of their gender, are born free and equal, then we have to already incubate an understanding from young our children that we have to treat one another with utmost respect. Or if we do not agree with their gender orientation, we say we should do no harm to them based on their gender orientation. So integrating gender responsive education in the curricula is one, I think, very basic advocacy that is necessary to strengthen our understanding of gender equality. So you should start with education. Knowing that right now we are into digital literacy and we are using AI tools, and we are integrating AI. So there is a lot of calling now, even for UN women, to integrate AI and gender together, and I think it's necessary. And I think continuous mentoring and opportunities for women, for leadership, for participatory activities, for self-empowerment is enough. And not enough, I mean, rather, is essential for to respond to this problem. And finally, economic opportunities for women, because we all know that the reason why women are abused or living in the abuse situations, because they don't have other options economically, they tend to be vulnerable, or they are just tolerating abuses because of their economic gains from their partners. So it is necessary that we must look at this concern, empowering women in all areas, so holistically. So it is essential that we have that. And maybe the last one is addressing gender violence through improving safe spaces. So that's where my current research is, creating safe spaces, making cities gender friendly to women and other gender. If the design of the cities is looking into women's access and opportunities, it will be beneficial for the community and for the city as well, to lessen harassment and to locate where the harassment is. So we have to look into the transportation aspect, to the educate, as well as the where these people, where can we locate these women in our city, and where they can easily find help with the police officer if there are abuses. And so I think that is necessary.
Professor, what role do you think education plays in promoting women's and girls' rights, and how can we work to increase access to quality education for all?
Mhm. So education is crucial because in one of my research, I have this clear understanding that we are conditioned in our understanding of our own gender. And so that is why I wrote this term, engendering education. So you have to engender something from the education aspect to be able to help people understand that there is no problem if we excuse me, understand or recognize that all of us has a certain roles to play in our society, that all of us can contribute something to the development of the society, but it requires a certain perspective or a certain education. So we have to understand where people are coming from, how they are conditioned by their families or by their communities, and what are their experiences that brought them to that kind of perspective, that they become abusive or not sensitive towards the needs of others. So education needs to be in gender itself. So we have to train teachers to inculcate gender responsive education. We have to train students. We have to bring in community and partners, stakeholders, to help us to work together for equitable and sustainable solutions, and work for sustainable development. And even I don't know if you are familiar with the UNESCO Global Goals for Education. It says leave no one behind. It's necessary that no one is left behind in the context of understanding gender equality and sustainable development. So these things are important.
Yes, Professor, UN is working continuously for women's and girls' right, but still we are facing so many issues in this field. So, Professor, how do you think we can work to address the root causes of displacement and promote more equitable and sustainable solutions?
Yeah, I agree with you that even despite of so many interventions or initiatives or innovations that we have, these problems continuously exist because we are an evolving society. And while another part is working for durable solutions or working for sustainable solutions, another one is working towards destruction, towards creating more problems, creating more disparities in society. So therefore, there are two different camps that are working for their own interests. So therefore, we have to strengthen our own solutions or sustainable solutions. We have to work together for social inclusion, for legal protection, for economic empowerment. We have to collaborate for gender responsive education and advocacy. We have to do more. And also when I say do more, we also need to bring a lot of people in our advocacy because these are things that requires all of us to do something, and it cannot be done by one or two or three persons. So we have to work with a community, not only our own local community, but also our national, international, or the global community. Even now, with the presence of AI powered tools, we have to use this to help us analyze biases and stereotypes, and so this is essential for our development. So as I have said, it cannot be done by even a click of your hand or a flicker of light. It cannot be done just once. These are problems caused by so many generations, and I think there's a lot of reconditioning. There's a lot of engineering. I have to go back to that framework, engineering education, and we have to reflect on where are we moving from here towards what humanity are we trying to create, or what society are we trying to build. Are we trying to reach our goals in sustainable development goals, or are we trying to get far from what we envision in 2030, what kind of society we can be? So these are questions that requires us to sit down or to talk together, to come together, and even I think forums like this, which are now virtual, although before we are not into virtual education, but it's necessary because a lot of people now needs to repeat this information. It does not only require listening just once, like, you know, you listen to that person and then you get the message just once. We have to be what we call this repetitive in sending the message that we need to do something about it, and we have to work together, and it's not my responsibility or yours or few people in charge with gender advocacy or women's rights. It is everybody's concern because it is affecting the whole community, the whole society, the whole humanity. Yeah.
Yes, Professor. So we have to
About multiple strategies together to plan together, and I think it's a systems design ways that we can get there.